back to Delivering More, folks. We appreciate you consuming the content morning, afternoon, or evening. As always, if you could go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below, that's going to help us out more than you could ever know. I have a great tandem of guests on the show today. Again, joining me, co-founder Aaron Hoffman. Aaron, what's up, buddy?
Back. What's up, man?
Back again.
Glad to be back.
Yeah, and this is a big time one. I think this is our maybe third in-office interview, so these are always a little bit more fun, get a little more camaraderie when everyone's in the building.
I know, for me, this is like a special one because, you know, TJ's a hell of a golfer, too. We're going to get into golf a little bit, but it's a pretty cool like episode, you know?
Yeah, it's going to be a good time. Introducing our guest on the show today, COO of Big Shots Golf, TJ Schier. TJ, what's going on?
Hey, appreciate you guys having me, man. I'd love it if it was a little warmer. We could have done this on the golf course up here, but it's great to be in studio with you guys. You got a cool facility here.
That would be
just do like an on range, like an 18
on the
hole.
range, or like just playing 9 if you're like mic'd up and just like going back and forth. Well, I guess they're coming out with the golf show right on Netflix, so it'll probably be like the same premise. That'd be a good time.
We're just not as famous as those guys.
Yeah, not yet.
Yeah,
not yet.
We got aspirations. Yeah,
there you go.
You never know. I do. Obviously, I want to introduce. This is our first time meeting face to face. TJ and I, Aaron. Obviously, you guys have met previously. And then for some of our viewership, might be the first time being introduced to Big Shots and TJ. So a little background about yourself to begin. University of Texas down there in Austin, a Longhorn. I'm a West Virginia guy, so I'm gonna throw it up. I'm gonna throw it up the horns down. I'm just gonna do it to you. I have to do it out of respect to my family.
You know, it's really odd when about every team you ever play has the same use of your symbol that you know. It started with OU, and then everybody's just adapted that, so we're used to it, and it's all background noise now at this point. So doesn't bother us.
And TJ, you work with an Oklahoma guy, Mike, right?
I do.
Yeah.
And as I tell them, you know what Sooners call Longhorns at work? Boss. So.
Shout out, Mike, man. Hope you're listening to this.
That was genuinely so funny. But what Arch Manning? Arch Manning's on campus now. Are we got big expectations? Or what are we feeling like?
Give it a year. Give it a year, and hopefully our coach will learn how to hold double-digit leads in the second half of the game. So we'll see. We'll see.
Is Quinn Ewers? Will that be the quarterback next year?
Yeah.
Guy from Ohio State.
Then he'll probably transfer somewhere else.
Yeah,
and,
right.
We'll start the portal thing like everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, that portal's going crazy. Deion Sanders lighting that thing up with his move to Colorado. So unbelievable moves there. What was your time like down at Texas? I've never been to Austin. Have you been to Austin?
Not been to Austin, been to Dallas one time with TJ actually. So,
well, I'm 100 years old, so you know I was back at UT in the 80s, and the crazy thing was I still remember I was a senior in high school. We fumbled the punt against Georgia in the Cotton Bowl, lost the national title game because we lost that game 10-9, and then I went there. My first football game was Bo Jackson at Auburn. He got caught from a safety from behind, separated his shoulder. He was out the whole year. And then we ended up 1-5-1 my whole 6 football seasons there against A&M, and like 0-6 against OU. Yeah. So it was horrible football timing.
I'm talking to a diehard here, man.
But and on a side note, I got my MBA. I didn't take 6 years to graduate, so I got 2 degrees in that time.
There's Jeff though from Wildbow, Wisconsin. We had Jeff from Wildbow. He was saying when he was at Wisconsin they were terrible too. Both these programs get a little turnaround once you guys leave. I don't know, a little bad luck charm, good luck charm action. I don't know how we feel about that.
I'm just hoping when we play Alabama for the 3rd time in the last decade, we don't get another quarterback hurt when we play them next season. So we have a run with that.
You guys are due pretty soon. You know, you guys are due.
Yeah, 2005 was a long time ago.
Was Vince Young? Is that who that was? Yeah, I mean that was.
Who did they beat in the championship
USC.
game? USC, that's right.
That was a hell of a. That was
Reggie
like
Bush,
the first
right?
really.
Reggie Bush,
like the all-time game. Yeah, it's like number 1 all-time. Yep. Yeah. Unbelievable. But we are here to talk about the restaurant business.
I think we got this whole podcast.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into golf too. I'm sure a very long tangents on golf. Obviously, this is a restaurant industry podcast, so you got to wheel it back a little bit.
Yep.
But your first experience in restaurants growing up, were you a server, bartender, anything like that? Do you have any restaurant experience prior to getting back into the industry with Chuck E. Cheese?
Yeah, some people may disagree that working for Chuck E. Cheese is the restaurant experience, but I started there in 1982. I just turned 16 years old, and I was a game room attendant fixing Pac-Man and asteroids and skee-ball, and man, it was awesome because it really wasn't restaurant to me. It was fun. I mean, they were really the original family entertainment center, and put in 18 years there, and then went out on my own, did hospitality consulting, and became a franchisee for 20-ish years before I started doing this.
Unbelievable. I mean, Chuck E. Cheese, that's a skee ball. I'm a huge skee ball guy. Obviously, love loading up on those tickets anytime you can.
I'm not a big arcade guy, but I enjoy it, the occasional day.
I will say, too, Chuck E. Cheese, I think the pizza's underrated. I was always a big Chuck E. Cheese pizza guy at those birthday parties, things like that. It's a good time.
I actually opened the Chuck E. Cheese in Canton, Ohio, like driver wedge across the parking lot over there.
On the strip over
right
here?
on the strip.
I was the opening trainer when we opened that location, probably in the mid-'90s when it opened. And you know what? They're probably 45-ish years as a brand, and they still, you know what? They kept in their lane, kids 2 to 7, and they freaking dominated. Yeah. Nobody has knocked them off the perch. So
absolutely,
shout out to the team at Chucky.
Yeah, unbelievable. So they stayed in their lane, and I wanted to bring this up. Obviously, you weren't around when it started, but the Pasquale's Pizza and Wings, they've kind of diverted a little bit to some ghost brand action.
Yeah.
And it got a little bad publicity at first. It kind of got undermined a little bit. People were like ordering it off the apps and were like, wait, this is from Chuck E. Cheese? What's going on? What's this? What's that? Do you have any opinion on that fiasco or anything like that? Because I think the ghost brand idea is amazing. Obviously, getting that other stream of revenue is a great idea. Maybe it's just like the branding aspect that could be done a little bit better.
Well, I think it's, pioneers get slaughtered. And they were really the first one that kind of went out publicly with a ghost brand that, they were a little ahead of the COVID time. And literally overnight, everybody started doing it. So, they've been a little bit later. They probably would have got a little less of the negative publicity, but
sure.
I also think their food. You said their food's good. My daughter's getting ready to have her 29th birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese. More of kind of a good old day scenario. People just have a negative perception of their pizza, but if they had it blind taste test, they would pick it just like they'd pick one of the big brands.
Yeah.
You could serve a ribeye or a prime rib at Chuck E. Cheese, and people would just go, it's okay. It's just the adult environment is not conducive to a dining experience, but with taking the food to go and everything like everybody's doing these days, it works just like everybody else's.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And then, so you moved up in the world, I guess we'll say a little bit. Not moved up, moved on. We'll say. I don't want to put a negative connotation on it, but the Smart Restaurant Group, the largest Which franchisee holder that you mentioned previously, and you guys even put out a book during your time there, the Catering Domination. I remember we had a box of them in the office, floating around for a pretty long time. What was your time like with them, and obviously putting together a book like that for the industry? How was your time like doing that?
Yeah, so to rewind it a little bit, so I left Chuck E. Cheese in 2001 and started my own consulting company. So I was really intent on focusing on how to use employee incentives to drive performance for hourly workers, primarily in the restaurant business. And I did that. I ended up doing that for 21 years, but about 7 years into that, a group of guys that I used to work with at Chuck E., we became franchisees of Which. We're all operators, didn't think we were brand guys. Looking back, we probably should have formed our own brand, but we didn't know better, so we became a franchisee like so many people do, and we grew to 17 restaurants at one point. I still own one of them. I call it my 501c3 charity right now, but I still am a Which franchisee, and really learned a ton about how to get catering business out there. That's where I ran into you guys through Easy Cater, and as we kind of wound down the Which brand, I was always using that as my social lab to test things out. So we wrote a book on how to run restaurants that I really learned a lot from this group in Tennessee called Pal's Sudden Service. Those guys, they're the best run restaurant chain by far, hands down. They make Chick-fil-A look like they're amateurs, which I'm not disrespecting Chick-fil-A.
That's saying something.
Hey, I have mad respect for Chick-fil-A, but these guys run 250 cars an hour through a single lane drive-through.
Dang.
It's insane what they do.
Know what they're doing.
It's very limited with what they do, but they do it extremely well. And so we built our model for our company after that. Nobody above a GM except myself and the operator. And really, I was out speaking on what we were doing, and my partner was running the business. We had 17 restaurants, no area managers, no trainers, no recruiters. We really kind of took a page out of Pal's book. I happened to just get into the catering piece really by default because my kids were involved in high school sports and band and those kind of things. And I saw all this catering that my daughter's band was picking up, or they were getting delivered, or my son's sports teams. And I really figured out how to just go out and get catering. So we wrote a book on how to operate restaurants, how to hire people. And then the third chapter in the Smart Restaurant Group saga was really about catering domination. And it came out right when COVID hit. So. Right. It's not relevant right then, but nowadays it's back, and it's even more so with everybody doing to-go and third-party and all these kind of things. And so, we really just spent our time helping people learn how to get out there and build business beyond the four walls, even before they needed to.
So let's rewind just a quick second back. So you obviously wrote a book about catering, very knowledgeable about it. And you kind of very briefly touched on, it kind of clicked. Can you go into more detail? Like, what was there like an event, a specific event that like, wow, I could be doing this all the time? And, like when did the catering opportunity really click for you?
So the light bulb hit me. My daughter was in high school. She was in 9th grade. My son was in 7th grade. He was on the football team. My daughter was in band. And she comes home in July. So it was like before school even started. And I'm a band parent at that point. I can't even clap and walk at the same time. I have no rhythm. But she brings me back here's the 10 games and the 4 band contests for the season. Here's the 10 restaurants we're ordering from for the games. Here's the 4 restaurants. One's in Indianapolis, one's in Seattle. We had to pick their meal choices in July for the whole fall semester. I own sandwich chain at this point. My son comes home and goes, "Hey, Dad, I need to, pick the football meal. You can get Chick-fil-A or whoever it was." And I'm like, okay, hold on a second. I own sandwich shops. We have an opportunity. Why are we not in the mix? Yeah. And so really what we did was then go out and aggressively start contacting band directors, cheerleaders, drill teams, schools, and say, hey, let us do your meal program. And the cool thing for us at Which specifically was we customized sandwiches. So we allowed people to customize when everybody else was ham or turkey. Yeah. And so as my daughter got into the band contest world, kind of one small example is we had a store about 30 minutes north of San Antonio, 1,600 square foot restaurant, did about $12,000 a week. Every year in San Antonio, there's a massive 5-day band. It's 2 band contests back-to-back over 5 days. The last year I had that restaurant, we did $32,000 in catering in 5 days out of a 1,600 square foot sandwich shop that does $12,000 a week. I had to rent U-Hauls. I had to rent temp hire people. I ran 24 hours a day, 3 days a week to get this done. I told my employees, how much overtime you want to make, I don't care how much it is, I'm going to pay you, and I'll fill in the rest with temps. And I got to the point where I was getting so many orders that I was calling the other franchisees to see if they could do the orders. But, your reputation's on the line.
Absolutely.
You have to be 100% accurate. And I even got to the point, this is how warped my poor wife has to deal with me, but I learned the over years, like Saturday night before the band contest in San Antonio, that's the regional finals. I found the website with all the bands that were playing. I would see the results print about 10 p.m. on that Saturday night. I would literally then Google who the band director was for all the teams that qualified for state. I'd shoot them all an email. Sunday morning, they wake up, and I'm like, hey, man, y'all worry about the music. I'll worry about the food. And literally the orders just poured in.
So, you talk about sales, though. Like,
yeah.
Obviously, for you to do that kind of type of legwork, like you got to be making some, like the margins have to be nice, right?
Huge.
So can you talk about like what the difference between catering is, the margins, and sort of like, you can obviously have a lot of throughput in the morning before you even open up, and that kind of stuff. Like what how do the margins compare?
Well, what most people misunderstand is I'll use this. This is going back a few years, so the prices have changed. But we used to sell a $6 box lunch, and so somebody like our fellow franchisees would look at us and say, well, I only make 10%. Bottom line in my restaurant. So if I sell a $6 box lunch, I only make 60 cents. And I'm like, no, you don't. Your $6 box lunch costs you about $2.40 to make. So people would then raise their hand and go, oh, my food cost goes up. And I'm like, yeah, it does, you moron. So I think what most people didn't understand about catering, especially a few years ago, is people would come to me and say, well, TJ, I make 10% in my restaurant. So if I sell a $6 box lunch, I'm only making 60 cents. So, even if I sell 300 of those, I'm making $180. It's not worth it. And they don't understand the math of incremental business like catering. So if I sell a $6 box lunch, it's really about 60% profit. So if I don't do that order, I'm making nothing. I'm not spending anything. So I get a $300 order, $1,800, 60% profit. I'm making $1,000. I don't make that much money in a week in the sandwich shop. And so now you pile all those wins on, and when I'm doing 4, 5, 6 orders, 2,000, 3,000 box lunches where I'm making $3 a box, $3.50 a box, I'm making more money in 5 days than I made in the whole month running the restaurant. It's a hell of a lot easier. It's guaranteed. You can plan it. It's a different business that you're in, and you got to learn how to kind of really weave in other partners. Can I make the delivery? Do I need to go third party? We stayed in our swim lane, learned how to use people like you guys to do the deliveries, and it worked great for us. And that's where the book really was born from. And so we started telling everybody about that. And then, COVID hit, and I'm a consultant with a restaurant that's not busy and a speaking business that went away. So, man, we started podcasting off-premise domination and some of those kind of things. And that's where we really were talking to people like, Jeff Alexander and some of the other people that you had on your shows that really, truly helped teach everybody how to do third party because they had to at that point.
And you kind of mentioned EasyCater earlier. I like to give them a shout out because they're they're great partners of ours.
Yep.
Love everyone over there. Great company. What has EasyCater done for franchisees like yourself? Like, what opportunity are they providing?
Which is a perfect example. They're a mid-sized sandwich chain. So when people 5 years ago were thinking I had a sandwich delivered, I guarantee there was only one name they thought of. Period. Because only one delivered back then. And so where we had a small brand, couldn't advertise nationally like some of the bigger brands, you stick your logo on an EasyCater page or a website or some of these other third parties, that's an extension of your marketing now, and that's how everybody started to find our brand. And I think the other thing that people don't realize, kind of going back to what I was talking to, imagine when Which in my case, or your brand in your case, goes home with every kid that's playing on the 7th grade football team's mom and dad, and they go, oh, we're ordering meals from Restaurant X. They might not even know where Restaurant X is. Mm-hmm. Well, now all of a sudden you have all this free advertising. Yeah. I've always told everybody catering's paid advertising, period.
Yeah,
it's exactly. You are getting paid to make money.
You might be feeding people that have never even had never had your food before, right? It's your chance to not only wow them with the branding, the actual product itself, but if it's a great experience, I guarantee you they're going to take a second look when they think, oh, what shop should I go to for my sandwiches now?
Yeah. And I think it helps you. The biggest hurdle we had to get over internally at which was we were all hot sandwiches. And we're like, oh, it's not our brand. Firehouse Subs is the same way. It's not our brand to do cold catering. We had to learn the customer that's buying catering is a different customer. The person coming into our shop back then wanted a hot sandwich. When they want catering in their office, it's going to be cold sandwiches. That's what they're going to get from everybody. And so we had to just put aside that we're not hot sandwiches doing catering, and our cold sandwiches is good or better than theirs. And you know what? That's what the guest wants. So give it to them. Yeah. And anything you can sell outside your restaurant is all incremental. You're making probably 60% plus profit on that thing. So push it all you can.
It's unbelievable.
Sounds like people should be in catering.
Yeah, I think that's realistically probably like the deepest dive on like the numerical value of catering that we've actually ever done on the show too. So that was a very good talking point.
Just giving another reason why you need to be in catering for your restaurant. It doesn't matter if you're, sandwich shop, pizza chain, mom and pop, man, catering. It's not because you only talked about one segment of customers. Really, talk about like the medical. People that order every day, sales reps, hospitals, skyscrapers. We deliver consistently the same orders to the same buildings almost every day.
Well, I think the other thing, too, again, putting my franchisee hat back on, people used to say, well, why do I want to be on EasyCater, or why do I want to be in third-party delivery and have to pay somebody the percentages? And it's like, now that I'm in a corporate job and I look at some of the people, we're part of a massive, like a $3 billion company. They order from EasyCater all the time, and you talk to the buyer, and it's like, hey, why don't you just order from the franchisee directly? They make more money. And it's like, look, I have everything in one spot. Today we want Mexican. Tomorrow we want barbecue. The next day we want pizza. I know how to operate the website like EasyCaters or DoorDash or whatever it is. It's easy for the client. So you have to be there because that's where the client and the buyer is.
And it's like if you hire a catering salesperson, you're paying someone to go sell food for you. Look at it the same way as EasyCater. Yep. They're trying to market and sell your product.
Yep.
They should get a piece of that, right?
Yep.
They should get a piece. So it makes sense, man.
Yeah, it's easy.
And they don't call in sick and require insurance and benefits and all that other stuff either.
Exactly.
Unbelievable. I think so. I mean, we can kind of move along, I guess, to our time with Big Shots now, right? And you mentioned, obviously, for between your time with Chuck E. Cheese and Smart Restaurant Group, you're still in the hospitality industry, which I would still basically reference more or less what Big Shots is as a whole, right? It's still a hospitality avenue. You're obviously a competitor to Top Shots, I guess. What would you...
He was. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, I mispronounced on purpose. We'll bleep it out anyway. We don't no free ads. But Big Shots, just A to B, like a quick definition of what the company is, what you guys do, what your goal is. What would you say about Big Shots?
For those that don't know, we're an outdoor driving range golf entertainment brand. So obviously everybody knows the big 800-pound gorilla in our industry, but we're really a food-forward, tech-driven, family-friendly golf concept. And so if you go into any of the 7 venues that we have open right now, we are pretty much the same from a guest experience standpoint. But what we've done over the last 2 years and what we're doing moving forward is we are putting food first. We branded our restaurant inside because nobody is going to order Big Shots Golf for catering. Nobody's going to order Big Shots Golf from DoorDash. Our food's really, really good. Our chef's amazing. And so we created a restaurant called Anthem. And if you think about it, people are like, why? It has nothing to do with golf. And we're like, exactly. Big Shots Golf's all about a feeling. It's that getting the golf ball in the air for the first time and just, oh, man, that was awesome. And so our tagline's here, everyone's a big shot, and every big shot has an anthem. It's that walkout music. It's that energy in the stadium when everybody, the team scores and everybody goes into the same chant and those kind of things. And so we purposely branded our restaurant specifically to get people to come in and eat, and also to really start doing third party and delivery with catering and those kind of things. So we're really now just dipping our toe 2 years into my tenure here into doing third party delivery with Anthem, because we've got it rolled out, doing catering, starting to do delivery and those pieces, because again, we have to have a separate brand from the food standpoint, because people, even Chuck E. Cheese, people don't go to Chuck E. Cheese to eat, or Dave & Buster's, or Main Event, but they always eat there.
Of course.
We want to give them the reason to come there and eat. Now, as we move this brand forward, we're going to open 6 or 7 venues in 2024. We are reinventing golf entertainment. We are going to have everything that you don't like about the other golf entertainment place. When you're second, you have that ability to kind of really assess what's going on. We are going to have adjustable tees and auto tees so we can have anybody with adaptive needs come in there and play golf. You can't do that in a lot of the facilities. You can't do it in some of our current facilities today. And we're going to bring the spectator indoors. So, I'm in Akron, Ohio right now. We're busy right now, but, man, it's cold out there. You can have heaters, but we're putting the guest indoors, the spectator indoors. The player will be outdoors. We're going to bring putting and simulators. A lot of the things that you see, a lot of good companies doing one thing extremely well, we're going to put it all under one roof, wrapped around a kick-ass sports bar, Anthem, and that's what we're going to be moving forward. It's going to be really cool.
Well, just from
sounds amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk about the food here in a minute. From a golfer's perspective, right? I can't tell you how nice it is to not only have a TrackMan, but to hit a ball and watch the flight. For me, I'm a big golfer, right?
Yeah.
So that's how I like to practice. So I would say, outside of the 800-pound gorilla, what they don't do, you guys are offering. You're appealing more to the golfer, I would say, which is awesome for me.
Well, I think, again, mad respect for what the competitor's done. They created this whole space. They have become an iconic brand. So, I mean, shout out to them and nothing but love, because they made our company and others possible. We can get the non-golfer into these facilities without a problem because of what they did. You put nets up and all of a sudden people know, oh, it's a golf entertainment facility coming. Cool. We want the golfer to come in there. And so, Aaron, to your point, we have TrackMan, so we have better tech. We have real golf balls. They fly right. The non-golfer, that really doesn't mean a lot to them, but we're going to get them anyway. We now have to attract the golfer. And, I mean, you go to our location up the street in Firestone, man, 9 a.m. when I'm there every day, there's people there hitting golf balls. We're doing pay-per-player pricing versus pay-per-hour, because if I'm out by myself, I don't want to pay $30 an hour to hit balls. If I'm with 5 or 6 other friends, who cares? Mm-hmm. So, we do per player. So you can come out there for $10, $11 and play for an hour. If you want to drink a beer or, grab some wings, great. But we're trying to do a lot of what people do one-offs, put it all under one roof, and really be that one-stop shop for everything around golf.
Yeah, because like for me, like my wife isn't like the most skilled golfer. So like for her, taking her and I can go practice at the same time, Big Shots is perfect for us. Yeah. And not to mention, like I said, we did our holiday party this year. In the food, I'm not going to, lie here. It was phenomenal. Well, I think we had like the chips and guac,
like
the
a
taco
taco
bar,
bar, yeah,
quesadillas. It was incredible. And like for me, it's like that is such an appeal and opens up other channels for you. Like you said, the catering, the delivery aspect. You guys now have multiple options here.
Yeah, I mean, we do smash burgers and hand-breaded wings, and they're damn good.
Oh, yeah.
And people, again, like at Chuck E. Cheese, people don't expect good pizza. And so when they come there, they're surprised. And again, the environment's just not quite conducive to go eat there a lot. But in our case, it is. If you want to go in there and watch a football game, I mean, I had the pleasure of being here New Year's Eve in Ohio and watching our sports bar go from absolute elation when TCU beat Michigan to the opposite end of the spectrum with the game after that. But I mean, the energy to have that many people, they're not even hitting golf balls. They're just in there eating, drinking, having a good time. It's competitive socializing, and that's really what we're doing. I think where it relates to what you guys do is we're really trying to bring our food outside of the venue because it's that good. You just have to put it under a different brand.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, it's like you guys have like pretty much the perfect setup to do a ghost brand or delivery out of your space. You're close to a highway. You have two nice metro areas, Canton and Akron, right there. Yeah. There's a lot of businesses around. I mean, you guys are in a perfect spot. So I can think of other golf courses that could do this. There's so many non-typical restaurant type buildings you can do these ghost brands out of, or even like your non-traditional. So I mean, hats off to you guys for thinking about that already.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I don't know what the term for this would be, but to me, it's almost the opposite of a ghost kitchen or a virtual, all these virtual brands that there are no brick and mortar.
Right.
What we're using third party and catering for is to educate our consumer around our venues that they see Anthem Kitchen and Bar. They're not going to know what that is because they may not have seen it somewhere because it's inside of Big Shots. That's going to help us drive our internal business. So it's almost the opposite of what everybody's trying to do.
You're trying to almost use that to get them to come in.
It's like an
Exactly.
accentuation.
Exactly. Basically. It's literally the opposite of a ghost kitchen. We have a brick and mortar. Nobody knows about it. So we're trying to use third party, use Easy Cater and those people to say, Anthem, where's that? Oh, hey, now, it's 10 minutes up the road. Let's go there to eat.
Yeah, and you guys make kick-ass food, so that's the idea.
Yeah. Shout out to the CB Dilla, and I don't know what the name for the chicken sandwich is, but I've had it 3
Cali
times.
chicken.
It is so good.
Dude, I'm telling you,
it's so good. And Aaron, you kind of led into our next topic a little bit about the location selection. Obviously, the main competitors in these major markets, right? Your Atlantas, your LAs, Cleveland, things like that. And looking at your guys' planning or the locations I've seen, it seems you guys are kind of going about a different way, right? So you got Fort Worth, Akron, Ohio, St. George, which I imagine is like a Vegas play almost, maybe a little bit more.
About an hour and a half from Vegas,
And then you got Springfield, which is right in between Kansas City and St. Louis. So is that what your guys' line of thinking is? You're going after like the smaller mid-major markets, or what's the plan there?
Our original thesis was to build where the big guys are not going to build. So we build a smaller facility. They typically have anywhere from, say, 40 to 64 tee boxes versus, they tend to run in the 70 to 100 range. So we purposely built in smaller markets. I think what we've realized being in a few of those is it's a very, very, very expensive build. I mean, you're talking $20 million capital type of project to build these things. You need 14 acres of land or 12 to 14 acres. So it's a big nut to start.
What does that net cost? Just curious.
The nets are about $2 million. The nets and poles, and the turf's about $1 million. Oh
man.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's $3 million just for that. It's insane. And you think about it. It's funny. We ran some data. 95% of the people do not hit a golf ball that flies 150 yards. So we have built a 225-yard driving range with a lot of nets and a lot of turf out there, and it's for 5% of the people that can actually hit it that far. So we're looking at doing things a little bit differently. We want to get into the major markets, but we can't have the product that we have today because it's too similar to the ones that's out there. Yeah. So that's why we're basically taking the best of the putting world, the simulator world, the outdoor range, and we're going to put it all into one place so that we have a better mousetrap to then go compete with some of these other places. Because you could go to the putting concept or Big Shots. You could go to the outdoor range or Big Shots. You could go to the simulator place. But, yeah, that's like 10 feet hitting into the screen, and ours is going to be 25 yards with a 3,500 square foot screen you're hitting into. They don't have that anywhere else. Yeah. We can put that mousetrap in the big cities and be better than all of those places, or we can still stay out there in the littler cities and literally be the only game in town for them.
I mean, I actually just hit a simulator, like an indoor one, and I'll tell you what, it was fun and all, but man, it was expensive. It's like $50 an hour.
Saying, you can't see the ball actually travel, right? You got the TrackMan showing you where it goes down to the millimeter.
Yeah.
And then also from there, I mean, it's just the experience aspect of it. It's just so much different.
But I do think, like TJ's talking about, like it's a much, much, much bigger play than just, like you said, just hitting golf balls.
And the price point, right? You're paying per player. It's basically the same as going, if you got to buy a bucket of balls at the range, it's already $10. I looked online. It's like you go to Akron and between 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. today, it's $9.
It's so like, what's your
why
typical?
not?
So is your typical like customer habits to go hit hit a ball, bucket of balls, get a drink, get a bite to eat, and then that's what the typical customer is doing?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because here in Akron, it was a public course driving range before it became a Big Shots.
Right.
In the other places, we've kind of gone out in the middle of nowhere and taken a piece of dirt and turned it into a golf entertainment facility. So in those places, we've had to educate the golfer to come to us. And their preconceived notion is, the golf balls aren't great. The tech's not great. When they get there, they love it. Here, we have the golfers, so we're very busy during the day because and that's why we did per person pricing here, is we didn't want to alienate the people that already knew where we were. And then we use at night, we're doing, the per bay pricing like everybody else does when we're getting the families. But we kind of, here, we're a lot slower later. And in our other venues, we're slow during the day because we don't have the golfers yet. Here, we need the non-golfers and kind of find that perfect fit for everybody.
You got to think, like, you guys have only been open really during the cold months in Northeast Ohio. So, like, wait till spring, April, May, June hits. Like, you guys are going to be packed every day.
Yeah, it's funny. We're based in Dallas, and our leadership team thinks, we're going to be dead in Ohio. And everybody I talk to, they're like, dude, you're 30 degrees. It's 30 degrees outside today, right? There are people lined up to walk in our door. In Texas, when I was there last week at our venue outside of Bryan College Station, it's 30 degrees. People are like, I'm not going outside to hit golf balls. It's too cold. Yeah, they're not going outside, period. Here, it's like 30 degrees. It's warm.
Yeah, can't wait.
Yeah, can't wait.
You guys are drawing in guests. Like, man, you got, and honestly, like the perfect spot. I was telling you, not only think about all the great golf around here in the Canton area. You got Glenmore, Brookside, Shady Hollow, all the golfers where we grew up and lived.
So many.
And then you got
courses.
Akron, you got Firestone, you've got Silver Lake. I mean, you've got all these nice clubs around here. I mean, you guys are in a perfect spot.
Yeah, I think the other thing too, and this is kind of tip of the hat to our marketing team and our ops and training team has really done it. We have a really great team. But here we started doing leagues, which they do them on all these facilities. So in our one in Texas, we have like 12 teams. And our one in Utah, which is more of a golf retirement community, we have like 25 teams. In Firestone, we can do 22 teams. They can take half the venue a night. We have 3 league nights that are sold out. Wow. So Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I'm at 22 teams a night. In our other venues where I don't have that golfer, we're doing cool things like dueling pianos and karaoke night and themed trivia, because I don't want people just to come there to hit golf balls. I want them to realize, wow, we have this killer event space. You guys said you had your Christmas party there. We have people coming in. We did like Harry Potter trivia night when I got 200 people in our upstairs bar in our restaurant in Texas eating and drinking, and just costumes, and it's like has nothing to do with golf, but we've got this facility that's really cool, got a lot of space. Just give people a reason to come and have fun and be social and hang out. And so again, I think I've been very blessed to work with a chef and ops team, the culinary team, and our marketing and tech team to really kind of say, look, we're never going to be able to imitate the big guy and beat them. Period. I mean, I think Gary Vee said you can't beat what you copy, right? Let's go out there and build something nobody's seen before, and that's what we're really trying to do.
Yeah, man, well, hats off to you.
What about the partnership with Firestone? How does something like that come about? Are you guys partnered with other local clubs at your other locations as well?
It's a great question. Big Shots Golf is owned by a company called Invited, which used to be known as Club Corp. So they are the largest private club ownership group in the U.S., probably in the world, I think. But they own and operate about 200 golf and country clubs, which Firestone is one of them. That's probably the marquee crown jewel of their properties. And then they own probably 8 or 9 city clubs, so kind of private dining clubs, downtown areas. They've obviously taken a hit with COVID and everything else. And then they manage 6 or 7 college football stadium clubs. So they have a private club in the football stadium. They manage the suites on game days. So this was just a natural for them to kind of dovetail in. So they bought Big Shots Golf from the founder a few years ago. At the time, they had just opened the first one. It looks nothing like what we're doing today, but it's really kind of the top of the funnel for golf. Let's bring more people in. Country clubs are elitist. There's a lot of friction. There's a lot of money and expense to get into them. This is like, hey man, Happy Gilmore, come on, let's go. Let's ramp up the crowd noise. No silence. Yeah, let's bring them in here and have a great time. And so we've had the benefit of being a startup and treated as such, but we're owned by a $3 billion company. And so we've had the resources behind us, and literally almost overnight, we're the second largest golf entertainment company. I think there's one that has 4 that will probably have no more. So we're at 7, and literally in a year and a half, we went from 1 to 7. But it's because we have this expertise behind us to help us with tech and HR and accounting, where a normal startup wouldn't have all that expertise behind them.
You guys have nice backing then.
Yeah, and so it's really helped us grow the brand quickly. Firestone came about because there's a public course, 9-hole course that the country club operates, and so it's great for the common man to come out and hang out at Firestone and go to big shots and those kind of things. What it gives us the ability to do as we work with TrackMan down the road is we'll be able to in the spring run tournaments, and maybe the prize is you get to come to Firestone and play because they obviously do stay and plays here, and so it gives us the ability to work with some of these big golf brands that are part of Invited and help us be a little bigger than we really are.
And you brought up the term expertise, right? So I do want to talk about it a little bit. I think the fall or end of last year, you guys got the Jordan Spieth nod of approval and investment, which I felt like it was a pretty big time announcement. I think it said in the article that the initial course of Invited was from his hometown or something along those lines. So what are sponsorship, well, not sponsorships, but investments from pro golfers who are now invested in the company and your guys' success as well? Are you guys anticipating having other individuals like that down the line, or even just Jordan Spieth in general? It's a huge move.
Yeah, it is. I think if you look at whether it's the putting concepts, TaylorMade and Tiger Woods are doing one, and Rory's invested in another one, and Callaway owns the big competitor in our space. There's just been this massive overlap in the golf entertainment space with the pro golfers coming into more of the entertainment sector. And so for our brand, Invited, the very first country club, which when it was called Club Corp, was called Brookhaven Country Club in Dallas. Robert Dedman, who started Club Corp, owned that course, and then he grew Club Corp from there. Jordan, when he was a kid, his parents were members there. So that was his first country club, or his first course was our first country club. Wow. And so it kind of was a full circle type of deal to bring him back home to where he started in the golf world. So he's obviously helping Invited and invested in our brand at a high level. But it'll give us again, we're the startup. We would never have access to somebody like Jordan Spieth when we have 7 venues. But because we're part of this bigger brand, Invited, we'll get some of his time, obviously. But they'll use him for the investors and prizes and meet and greets and those kind of things. But it just gives our brand, as little as we are, a lot more credence, and we seem a lot bigger than we really are.
Absolutely. Well. I did not know that until right now.
Really?
Yeah. But,
even it's on the sheet, baby.
Yeah. I know. But I think we're coming up on time, so I want to just shift over to a little bit just on the spot golf questions for TJ, because I want to test him here real quick, or at least get his opinion on something. Okay. So if you were to have to play one golf course, like your golf course you want to just go play that you never had before, what is it?
I've never been to Bandon Dunes or Stream Song, so those are my two resort places I want to go try to next.
Love it, man. What kind of clubs do you swing?
I swing pings because my son works there. So
I was the gold putter room.
I was a Titleist guy before that, but I always tell people, it's not which club you play. You have to get fit and find the one that fits your eye. Mm-hmm. And so to me, if I could go play another brand, as long as it was probably to me the shaft's a lot more important than what the club is, and it's just got to fit your eye. I can look at certain clubs. I remember when I was a kid growing up, the old pings, I couldn't stand looking at them. Now they're all the same. I mean, the technology differences in these clubs are so minimal. Just find one that fits your eye, that you like, that's fit for you, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a golfer and you haven't been fitted, I would highly recommend it. Definitely makes a difference. Any hole-in-ones?
I made a hole-in-one when I was 18, and that was a long time ago.
Oh, man.
The one and only.
One and only?
Where was it at?
It was at a course called Bowling Green in New Jersey.
Oh, yeah.
I have one. Sanctuary.
No way.
Yeah. I was 17, I think, or 16. It was in high school.
I've been a part of one gyms at our trip.
Oh,
our
that
trip
was
in Denver.
That was
like an
He
unbelievable.
aced a par 3 down a hill, 300 yards, flew it.
It was like a 3-wood. It was
Wow.
unbelievable.
Yeah, it was crazy.
That's awesome.
All right, last question. All right, for you. What handicap you playing at right now?
I'm a 5.5.
I've played with TJ, and I would 100% say that's accurate. So, got a really nice swing, man.
I have one more for you. What is like speaking to the professional game outside of Tiger Woods' maybe biggest moments? Do you have like a favorite golf memory throughout the years?
It's funny. I have a pretty unique one. When I was 18, right after I made my hole-in-one, a friend of mine, and I finished high school in New Jersey, even though I grew up in Houston. But his dad got us a job working the 18th hole of the 1984 U.S. Open at Wingfoot. So he and I stood inside the ropes. The rough was about this thick, and back then they didn't have cameras everywhere, so we just had to sit there and watch every pro tee off and just stand there and find the ball. And so I got paid for the Wednesday and then the 4 days of the tournament to watch this tournament, and Zeller and Norman had this epic battle on the 18th hole, and Fuzzy was waving the white towel because he thought Norman made a birdie, but he made par. And man, it was just to be inside the ropes with the pros and see just how freaking good they are even back then. It's amazing. And so that's to me my favorite golf memory.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, unbelievable.
I got nothing else.
Nothing else. I was gonna ask. This is maybe another long-winded story, but like, how did you pique your interest originally in golf? Was it something you grew up with your dad playing or your family playing, or how'd you first get started in golf?
Great question. My best friend since I was 14. He's still my best friend today, 40-something years later. He played golf. I never played golf. I played tennis growing up, and we were probably 15 or 16, and he took us out there to start playing golf, and man, I was terrible at it when I first started, but I moved to New Jersey when I was 17 and got burned out in tennis and just started to play golf. And I told my coach, I still remember this, told my high school golf coach, I just moved here from Texas, I'm in New Jersey. I said, yeah, I shoot in the 80s, and I go out to practice, like to tryouts, I shoot 56, 54. My first round, I got 110. And I came home distraught, and I'm just like, oh my God, I just quit tennis. That was my, and I suck over there. And my golf coach came over, high school golf coach, didn't know the guy, really barely spent any time with him. And he's like, dude, he just took me out to the driving range and just got me to where I could hit the ball again. It was all mental. And the crazy thing, and this is what's so awesome about golf, the 5 kids on my high school golf team, we still keep in touch. About once every 3 years, we get together and play. We actually had our golf coach come down and play with us in Myrtle Beach probably 10 or 15 years ago. He passed away a few years ago, but when we had our 35th high school reunion, I called the golf pro where we all worked at the club in New Jersey and said, hey, man, do you remember us? And he said yes. He probably didn't, but we actually went out there, saw him at his club. We called the course we used to work at. They let us play, even though it was private. And, this game of golf is just so awesome. And it's same with working in the restaurants. You learn a lot about ethics and integrity and how to work. And, I think these two things really fit well together. So for me, this was kind of my, perfect dream job to put all that stuff together.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a great way to close it out.
Yeah, I can't say anything.
I just want to make sure, obviously, we plug the business and everything like that. So if people want to visit Big Shots, how do they book a tee time, find more out about the brand, and also where can they order from Anthem if available?
Yeah, we're bigshotsgolf.com. We've got seven venues. 6 of them are in the U.S., one's over in the U.K. So we're not in a lot of places yet, but in 2024 we will double in size. So hopefully we'll be bringing it to you really in the near future.
Cool. Awesome. I appreciate your time, TJ. Thanks so much, man.
Thanks,
In
TJ.
office, great time.